Good afternoon and thanks for joining us. I'm Jurnee Taylor and here are the stories we're following today. Little Rock Mayor Frank Scott Jr. unveiled his new sales tax initiative to the city board today. We've got a closer look at the plan in less than 2 minutes. Plus, drivers in Saline County say they're tired of flat tires in construction zones. More on the problems people are seeing at 12:04. And the Federal Reserve approved another interest rate hike this week. Good news, it's helping with inflation, but why are some things still more expensive than usual? That answer still ahead. And joining us with an answer on how it feels outside, my friend meteorologist Corrales Ortiz filling in for Nathan Scott this afternoon. What's going on over there in the weather department?
Listen, it's just downright hot today and tomorrow and the day after that. That's just going to be the trend for the next several days. As you saw behind her, it's looking a little bit hazy out there, seeing a mixture of some sun and clouds. We just hit noon and we're already seeing that heat index value exceed 100 degrees. It feels like it's already 102 here with a temperature of about 94 here in the metro, 94 also in Pine Bluff, already in the low 90s for most across the state, with the heat index creeping up and towards the triple digits for many as well. Looking at the radar, we are seeing just a mixture of some clouds out there, otherwise just generally fair conditions, although I did see a little bit of a sprinkle that was hinted over parts of Hot Spring, Clark, and Dallas County there just to the west of Princeton near Arkadelphia. So that's all that we're going to expect in terms of rain. Not a lot to talk about in terms of that in the forecast, but highs will be approaching upper 90s today. A warm wind out of the south and west. In terms of the heat alerts, we have a heat advisory in effect for all counties selected in orange through the afternoon and into the evening. We'll likely see more of these in the forecast over the next several days. I'll talk about this heating trend coming up.
All right, Corrales, thank you. Well, this morning, the Little Rock mayor presented his latest sales tax plan to city directors, aiming to get feedback and discuss what changes need to be made before moving forward. In the 2-hour working session, Mayor Frank Scott Jr. walked the board through each of the proposed projects. The funds from the tax will go toward capital improvements with a big focus on parks and recreation, public safety, public infrastructure, and port and economic development. Now, many of the board members showed their support for the initiative, but did make suggestions on how to improve it. The mayor says there's a lot more discussion needed, and he's planning to dive even deeper in the upcoming August meetings.
I do think majority of the city wants to see more improvement, wants us to keep up to our pace, our growth. We're experiencing growing pains, which is a good thing.
Again, nothing was finalized today, but board members and the mayor plan to further the discussion and get some input from the community as well. Mayor Scott hopes he can get the tax initiative passed by directors with enough time to get it on a November ballot. THV 11's Brooke Buckner will give us a closer look into the sales tax plan tonight at 5 and 6. New at noon, power is back on at Jefferson Regional Medical Center after a fire forced it to shut down most of its campus yesterday. The fire, which happened Tuesday night, affected the connection between Jefferson Regional and Entergy. All power has been restored and the hospital is accepting patients again. Yesterday, patients were transferred to other hospitals while testing and procedures were canceled. And crews from around the state traveled to the hospital to make sure what happened didn't slow down care.
We had to bring in extra staff and everybody did what they had to do to get the goals accomplished and get the best patient care they could for our patients.
Again, Entergy crews have restored power and the hospital is now accepting patients. Arkansas drivers are used to highway construction sites, especially along Interstate 30 in Benson. Commuters in that area tell us that they're seeing more flat tires, possibly caused by that construction, and they want answers. THV 11's Sarah Hobakowitz spoke with the Department of Transportation about the issues in that area and shares what you can do if you find yourself on the side of the road.
The project to widen 5.5 miles of highway started in 2019 and was supposed to be completed 2 years ago. Now that's been pushed to next year. But last night, hundreds of drivers told me they're not just tired of construction, they're worried for their safety.
It's scary to go through there. I've almost had a wreck going through there before.
Tracy Bright got a new tire this week after she says she drove over metal plates on I-30 near Benton.
But at the time, I didn't really realize I had gotten a flat until I had just came out of the construction. Sure enough, it had a big notch out of it. Wasn't just a screw or anything.
And she's not the only one. Hundreds reached out with complaints of blown out tires, broken axles, and driving over metal scraps, keeping tow companies busy.
The other day I saw probably 4 or 5 that were lined up, back up, grab it and go. Next one come in, back up, grab it and go. It was one right after the other.
I spoke with 3 tow truck companies like East End Towing, all saying they've gotten dozens of calls to the same stretch of highway over the last few weeks.
They break down in between those walls. Yeah, it's practically impossible because once they're broke down, it's down to 1 lane.
The construction to widen that part of I-30 is years behind schedule, and RDOT says the contractors are getting fined for the delay.
The project has, I think it's fair to say, has not gone as expected by the contractor or by us.
But even with hundreds of Facebook complaints of people telling us they've changed jobs to avoid the highway or shared stories of accidents,
We haven't had a lot of complaints about people hitting those lead plates and thus having potholes. I'm not saying it hasn't occurred, but I haven't had the number to such that we would change anything about it.
But if you have damage, there is action you can take to get it fixed.
So if you're in a construction zone, find out who the contractor is and reach out to them directly.
In this case, that contractor is Johnson Brothers Corporation. While their phone number isn't posted on Google, we did reach out to their parent company for this story, but did not hear back.
All right, well, RDOT also tells us that for now, those metal plates are covering up drainage that the median will cover when the project is complete. A group of Arkansas Guardsmen are set to return home from a mission in Texas. Earlier this month, soldiers were deployed to the southern border near Mexico to relieve the Texas Guardsmen at checkpoints in Eagle Pass and Del Rio. Major General Jonathan Stubbs says it's a mission that's taken a toll on the soldiers' physical and mental health.
When I was there for the first time, the temperature was 109 degrees. So our soldiers are operating in a very harsh environment. And when you go and you put your feet in the dirt down there and you're on the banks of the Rio Grande River and you see these family groups wading across the river, you know, it's very impactful.
Those soldiers will return to Arkansas on Monday. 50 other members will remain there for a separate federal mission assisting U.S. Customs and Border Protection. They've been there since October of 2022 and are set to come back at the end of this upcoming October. Now to Washington, with a health scare involving the Senate's top Republican. Minority Leader Mitch McConnell suddenly stopped talking during a briefing yesterday on Capitol Hill, appearing to freeze mid-sentence. Nicole Killian has more on what happened and how the senator is doing.
Well, good afternoon, everyone.
Just a few moments into his weekly news conference, Minority Leader Mitch McConnell stopped talking mid-sentence and froze.
In cooperation and a string of
Okay, Mitch. Anything else you want to say, or should we just go back to your office? Do you want to say anything else to the press?
Go ahead, John. He was escorted away by colleagues before returning a few minutes later to answer reporters' questions.
I'm fine.
Shortly after, he met with the House Speaker.
It was a normal meeting that we've always had.
McConnell emerged from his office Wednesday evening following a call from President Biden.
Well, the president called to check on me. I told him I got sandbagged.
A McConnell aide said he felt lightheaded, but the incident prompted fresh inquiries about the 81-year-old's health.
Any concerns about his health? Have you noticed anything?
I always wish Leader McConnell well.
It's good to be back.
The Kentucky Republican was out for 6 weeks earlier this year after falling at a D.C. hotel. He suffered from a broken rib and a concussion.
It's always pretty scary when something like that happens.
McConnell's office hasn't commented on reports that he may have fallen on other occasions this year. A spokesperson did acknowledge that he sometimes uses a wheelchair as a prudent and precautionary measure. The leader wouldn't say if he's been evaluated by a doctor since Wednesday's incident, but many of his colleagues tell us they're not concerned about his fitness to serve. Nicole Killian, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
In other news, defense attorneys and prosecutors in the case of Hunter Biden are trying to figure out what's next after his plea deal fell through yesterday. The president's son was expected to plead guilty to 2 misdemeanor tax charges and was expected to enter a diversion program to resolve a 3rd charge for felony gun possession. But questions from the judge about the scope and structure of the agreement ultimately led to it unraveling. She gave both sides 30 days to answer her questions before she makes a decision. And some sad news for the entertainment world this week. Irish singer-songwriter Sinead OConnor has died. Although she had several hit songs, the Grammy-nominated artist may be mostly remembered for tearing up a picture of Pope John Paul II during a live broadcast of Saturday Night Live. She later said the move was to bring awareness about sexual abuse within the Catholic Church. She was 56 years old. Interest rates are going up again, but consumers are finally getting relief in the fight against inflation. More on the prices that are going down and the ones that aren't budging yet at 12:13. Corrales?
Well, things that are not going down are these temperatures. That's going to be the case even into the weekend. We'll continue to see highs approach that century mark. Are we going to be seeing relief anytime soon? Well, I'll let you know in the forecast ahead.